School. I'm a Lynn Public School graduate and proud product of a first-generation low-income background. I'm a kid who represents hope for a lot of kids who might not make it. You know, I've been a kid against the odds, and you know, I hold a bachelor's degree, a master's degree. I'm a licensed social worker. I'm also a local 509 SEIU member for DCF. I'm also a North Shore delegate. I've lobbied from state, local, and federal legislator. I'm also I'm the lead investigator for a missing or absent unit that deals with child trafficking. Yeah. See, I told you. Hey.
All right, thank you. Thank you both. Thank you both. Question, another tough one here, I would say. Okay. We're going to start with Mr. Castellanos. What are your thoughts on the concept of critical race theory being taught in Lynn Public Schools? Why or why not? If you're not familiar, folks, with critical race theory, it's a man-made construct that race was created by man. It's not a natural occurrence. So if you were to teach critical race theory in Lynn Public Schools or any other school system, it's that nobody's inherently superior to anyone else strictly due to their race. Now, there's been opposition on both sides of this. Some people are for it, not here particularly in Lynn, but just in general, the conversation has come up. Should this or should this not be taught to our young people? That no one is superior to anyone else strictly because of their race. There are people on each side of this. So the question, again, Mr. Castellanos, would you be in favor of teaching critical race theory in Lynn Public Schools?
So, history is very important. When you look at the history, right, when we look at CRT, when you look at redlining and the way the disparities in our country were, you know, the foundation of America, it's pretty bloody. And it's messy. I think you need to take full accountability within the institutions we teach. When you look at history, when you look at just what's being taught in curriculums, it's really not all true. The people's history, I remember from Howard Zinn, I read way back when I was in 2008. You learn about just what really happened. You know, when Christopher Columbus first came here, and we celebrate, you know, recently, now it's Indigenous People Day, which is respectfully so, but why are we in 2021 and we just making those changes? CRT, it's something that I've been educated, well equipped over the years, in undergraduate and graduate. I've taken, my culture of competency and intelligence training comes from multiple layers. And I take a lot of pride in listening to my constituents who do, when you look at both sides too, because I get to speak, as a school committee member, you got to speak with both sides. It's bipartisan. So you hear from both perspectives, but it's key to really pay attention to the facts. And it's important to evolve, and we can't stay stuck in the old times. We need to evolve and support, and we have it's a community of color, and we have to represent what the best interest is. So CRT is something I do have a strong support in, so thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Castellanos. Daniel?
Okay, so for me, when it comes to critical race theory, it's a very interesting one, being a person of color, being an immigrant as well, and history being my favorite subject in high school. I think it's very important to teach history and for kids to understand the history, but not just history, but understand what's real, excuse me, what's real history, and not just American history, but Black culture, Latino culture. It's very important because we live in such a diverse community that we should all be that
for joining us.
Thank you, Mr. Barton.
You all set? Public safety,
Counsel Barton?
present.
Present Counsel Field?
Present.
Present Counsel LaPierre? Absent Counsel Chakutis?
Present.
Present Counsel Walsh?
Present.
Present.
First thing on the agenda.
We have a discussion with Police Chief Reddy regarding motorized scooters and dirt bikes.
Chief Reddy, please.
Good afternoon.
Thank you for being here, Chief.
My pleasure.
Council Starrett.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for scheduling this meeting tonight. I asked to have it set up to discuss the issue with the mopeds and motorbikes that are screaming across the city. Particularly, it's bad in the Lynn English High area of Ward 2, and those people are being terrorized, and it's been going on for quite some time. I have been in touch with Chief Reddy and trying to discuss some of the things that we can possibly do. I know that they're challenged with the no chase policy, so that nobody gets hurt, because if they try to engage these kids in a chase, they're going to go up over sidewalks and everything else to evade the police. But the things that they are doing down there, especially around English, with racing through the parking lots, one resident actually sold his house because he couldn't take it anymore and moved out. But he had even sent me a video of 4 of these things circling a cruiser in the parking lot of English, basically, taunting the police, knowing that they're not going to chase. I was down there one night with Lisa Nerrick and a few officers to talk to the kids in the basketball courts about cleaning up after themselves. And afterwards, I'm standing there, and a dirt bike goes to go out onto the field. And when I stopped him and yelled to him, he stopped the bike, turned around, gave me the finger, and kept on going. I understand the no chase, but something's got to be done. I don't know what other communities are doing. I don't know if there's something that when they are caught, if they do have a license, to pull the license. If they don't have a license, maybe put a period of time, 5 years or so, before they can get a license. But we've got to do something, because those poor people down there can't endure another summer like the one that they experienced this year.
Thank you. Chief Reddy, do you have any suggestions?
Councilor, yes, everything you said, we understand and we agree with, and I know that many residents of the city have expressed similar concerns, probably to every councilor here at one time or another, and our own officers have, and it certainly is a challenging problem. I just do want to clarify a little bit. We do not have a no chase policy. It's just that within our policy, for a minor misdemeanor traffic violation, we quickly terminate a pursuit because of the dangers involved. So we do initiate the stop, but then we in most cases have to terminate. We had recently had a felony incident involving an individual on a dirt bike, and we did pursue him. And we pursued him all the way into Saugus, and in several times he simply got a little bit ahead of the cruiser, stopped, turned around, went up on the sidewalk, and went back the other direction. So the easy maneuverability of the mopeds and the bikes creates other challenges, and we have to be mindful not to cause property damage or to hurt other people. So yeah, it certainly is a difficult challenge that we face. But we can't surrender to that either. To your point, I have had discussions with other area chiefs. Many of them have expressed similar concerns or similar challenges in other communities. But we have, I think the ordinance that we have here in the city is actually pretty good. The challenge is getting vehicles, the motorized vehicles, in a position where we're able to seize them. And for that, what we're going to do is initiate sort of a task force within some of our plainclothes units with support from the marked patrol units to try to target these individuals, gather some intel on where they may be living or coming from, see them come out, and then wait for them to stop, at which point we'll try to swarm in and seize the vehicles and have them held. We do think long-term, we want to come back to the law department with maybe a recommendation for increased fines, not for everyone, not for a simple violation involving a motorized vehicle, because you've probably noticed that motorized vehicles are the use of those within the community has exploded in the last 5 to 7 years. And not everyone is part of this bike culture, which is belligerent and hostile and aggressive. But we do think that there are certain infractions that are occurring, like riding on one wheel, or swarming vehicles, or going back and forth in one way against traffic. Those types of violations, we think there's probably a need to increase the fine, because otherwise the state infraction right now is $25 for the first offense. The city ordinance is $100. But frankly, we think to send the message and to give us the authority to hold the bike for a little bit longer, we're going to have to look at making recommendations to increasing that fine. If we are able to seize these bikes right now, we can only hold it until they pay the fine or the judicial proceeding is ended. And at $100, that's generally not terribly long. So we think we need to get a little more creative in that area, or a little more, look at higher fines, and we'll be communicating recommendations to the law department for their review to bring back to the council. As far as the task force and the surveillance proposal that I've mentioned, our captain of detectives has been in communication with Boston PD because they have an officer who's assigned just to this problem for them, and they've had created some ordinance and some other things that allow them to go on private property to seize these vehicles if they've known they've operated in a public way. We want to look at that and see if that is something we can also tweak our ordinance on to use here. But more importantly, what we're going to do with them is share intelligence. We're going to partner some of our officers with their task force members to learn more about how they use social media to identify and track these individuals, and then maybe we can target them through this surveillance. And that's how we hope to move forward with this, and that's beginning as we speak. So,
Chief, quick question. Do these scooters and mopeds, do they have to be insured?
honestly, I don't know off the top of my head, Counselor, if they have to be insured, but they do have to be registered. And in many cases, they're not registered. So just in terms of language, a scooter is what we often call a moped, but that's not what it is under the legal definition. Moped is a motorized bike, and that has to have a decal. It has to be registered with the Registry of Motor Vehicles and bear a decal on the rear plate. I would have to, frankly, look into it to see if they have to be insured. I'm not sure off the top of my head.
And another question, do they have to have a learner's permit or a license to drive?
Yes, yes. In order to drive any of these vehicles on a public way, they either have to have a learner's permit or a license to operate. But again, the fines are not the same as they would be for a regular motor vehicle. So even though we can cite them, there's some understanding that those fines are much lower for those violations when these types of vehicles are involved. That's why we think increasing the city ordinance for those dangerous driving infractions is probably the best option going forward.
Council Fields.
Thank you, Chairman Barton. Chief, you just touched on that registration part. I know if any of us buy a car at a car dealership, the car has to be registered with the license plate before it leaves the lot, before we're able to take possession of it. Is there an opportunity, do you think, that we can hold the dealerships accountable in some type of way with the state oversight on that? These are the people selling these bikes. They're supposed to be making sure that these are registered so that it has a plate on it, it can be identified. I know there was a post on social media a couple of weeks ago that I saw that there was an elderly woman, being confronted by somebody on a bike. He came over, kicked her door, and then took off. And there's really no way to identify the bike. If somebody's got a helmet on or a mask or something covering their face, there's no real way to identify without a plate on those bikes. So is there a way that we can identify them with registration and, not just hold the operator accountable, but also the dealership that's selling these machines to people?
I'd certainly be willing to look into that, Counselor, and I think, again, I'd want to consult with the law department on that. I think in this city, what we're dealing with very often, frankly, are private sales. These types of motorized vehicles, not necessarily just within this city, but they might buy them elsewhere on a private sale, and they're not newly acquired vehicles where a newly acquired vehicle, they have to present the certificate of origin and a bill of sale to get registered, but then when it's renewed, they just have to present the prior registration. But quite frankly, a lot of the vehicles that are engaging in the type of behavior that is problematic just aren't registered. So I think it's mostly a private sale issue, it would be my guess, and I'm not sure that that would get a whole lot of satisfaction in
But even with
terminating,
the private
ending the
sale of an
problem.
automobile, there's a title exchange.
Right.
You know, so
It's not-
there's still a paper trail to keep track of the motor vehicle going
Right.
from one possession to another. Can we, maybe, you know, not so much yourself or as a city, but as a state, you know, have some type of oversight that way, where, you know, it's following it just like it would a regular motor vehicle, car or truck, you know, commercial or personal, to follow it through. And then we can identify the people that are using them responsibly because they're identified with a tag on their vehicle. And then typically the people that aren't registered, you would pull over a car if it didn't have a license plate on the back of it. You know, and then, you know, we're kind of separating the sheep from the goats. You know, the bad from the good. People that are using these correctly and registering them. Because, correct me if I'm wrong, almost all of them don't need to be registered with a license plate, correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
They have to get a
Maybe-
decal.
Maybe looking to reach out to our state delegation to kind of take the role as far as the registration process. There's an opportunity there.
Councilor Stabbit and then Councilor Welch.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chief, I know you had sent me the reports from a couple weeks back where one of the kids was on foot and he was arrested because he happened to be drinking. And then there was another case where you were able to seize 2 of the bikes. When you seize them, do you call a tow truck?
Yes.
Okay. Is it, and then what do you do, take them back to the station, or do they go to the tow?
No, when they are towed to the tow owner's lot. And, you know, that there's certainly some concern, I would say, among tow company owners about long-term hold of those vehicles, but that's something, we also have some thoughts about maybe different type of storage opportunities or storage situations for these vehicles, but quite frankly, there's a lot of considerations we have to work out before I can make a proposal to you. But right now, we think the best option is simply that we call a tow company, and they charge the tow fee, because again, if they want to get their motorized vehicle back, they have to pay the tow fee, they have to pay the storage fee, and that's why the ability to hold it at the tow company until the case is resolved or the fine is paid, and frankly, it hits them in the pocketbook, and that's appropriate if they're going to drive
exactly
dangerously.
What I was thinking,
Yeah,
to make it as cost prohibitive as possible.
Exactly.
To get that bike back.
yes.
Or if they want it back, they're going to pay daily. And just one more question. So, and this even goes back to a few years back, Chief McGarry had put out a booklet addressing these things, okay? And, you know, he had said for folks to report where their garage.
Right.
How much success has there been in seizing them from places where they've been reportedly garaged?
We have had, during COVID, quite frankly, a lot of this stuff went by the wayside for about a little over a year. But prior to that, we had a couple of successful, not a lot. We have not received a lot of tips or intel on locations where multiple vehicles are garaged. We're not giving up on that either. We're going to renew our efforts to bring this to the attention of the public, explain to them how they can report information anonymously if they don't want to give their name, and then that'll all go to the unit, the plainclothes unit that is assigned responsibility for doing this, and that'll help them determine where they're going to conduct surveillance. So we're not giving up on that, but it has not been as fruitful as we had hoped it would be.
Okay. And is there going to be a contact person? So when residents let one of us know, you know, hey, one of these things, you know, 2 of these things are garage next door to me at this address, that we could report that
Yes.
to that person?
Yeah, I probably would not do a person, Council. We do the unit. It would probably be the gang unit, but we'll probably give you a couple of options. That way it won't fall. If somebody's on a day off or if there's a period of time where they're not around, it doesn't fall between the cracks. I'd rather that information get out to several different members of the department so that we're better able to respond to it in a timely manner.
So I think that would be helpful if we could, you know, collect that information and pass it along to the...
We anticipate the gang unit as having the lead on handling our investigations and overall response. but everyone's got a piece. The patrol units are out there, they're throughout the city, and they come across things, they have to own a piece of it. Other special units have to own a piece of it, but the primary responsibility will lie with the gang unit.
All right, thank you, Chief.
Counsel Walsh.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was going to just reiterate really what Councilor Staub had said. I've been trying to figure out where some of them are coming out of, and I got a few addresses that I've given to the police myself. I think that's the biggest thing. We have to have some surveillance on properties. I think people know which ones that they're kind of coming out of. We need, neighbors to try to, as scary as it can be, probably get some info to us so that we can get people stationed, to watch it. I think that's going to be your best approach. As far as the registration goes, I think because of the CCs of the vehicles and depending on if it's a street legal bike or not street legal bike, I think that gets a little sticky sometimes. But if we could impose larger fines on them, I think, especially at the time they pick up those motorbikes, is it legal to say when it's such a, serious traffic violation that they don't get them back till after a hearing has happened with the judge, or how does that work?
So the current ordinance says that we have the right to hold it until the fine is paid or the judicial proceedings conclude. Very often, if the fine is low, they're just going to pay the fine. So I would want to talk to the law department to see if we can have a specific time period.
Is it or is it just as long as one of them, or do they have to, can you say no?
I believe I have the ordinance here, I can check, but my recollection is that it's and/or.
If you could just find that out and get it back, that's fine.
Sure.
I just think that's kind of crazy. They shouldn't be able to pick it up till after there's been a trial of it, of whatever happened.
Yeah, it's or counsel. Items seized or impounded shall be kept in custody until fines are paid or judicial process involving the case has been completed.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Good. Any other questions for the chief on this subject?
I just want to encourage the people out in the city. We know that they're frustrated as well, and I know that's why you're all hearing it. Well, please call us when problems are occurring. Call us when you see this erratic behavior. We'll take all the information. We might not always have a cruiser there 2 minutes later, but we do take that information. It helps us to inform our response and target our surveillance so we can be more productive. We do want to hear from them, and we don't want them to think that those concerns don't matter. They matter very much to us.
Right. Chief, I know Rick, Councilor Staubach mentioned English, but I'm at a lot of the football games at Manning Field, and I see a lot of it there also. So
I'll pass that along. And I know in English, in that point, we did get some intel, Counselor, from the neighbors that you had spoken with, and that's how Sergeant Gorman and the members of his unit were able to do some surveillance, and when they saw the bikes there, they had a careful plan to how to approach them so that they could get them before they could take off. And again, the more information we have, the more thoughtful we can be about having a response that is productive, getting them before they can take off.
Right. Thank you for that. On that. Oh,
Thank you,
Council Field?
I don't have any more questions.
The next subject?
Yeah.
Oh, Council
Just
Field.
nothing more with the chief, but I just want to see if we have support amongst my colleagues on the council to put in a motion for the law department to draw up a resolution sent to the state to create legislation requiring all motor vehicles used on city public streets to require them to be registered in the state of Massachusetts. And I put that forward as a motion to see if we have support for that resolution.
Motion made. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Counsel Barton?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Field?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel LaPierre?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Chakutis?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Walsh?
Yes.
Yep, we have one more discussion with Police Chief Reddy regarding the results from the traffic survey for the speed conducted on Pleasant Street.
Counselor, just if I can, just to go back a minute, Counselor Field, to respond to your question about insurance, my top-notch research is back there. We're able to look it up, and the Commonwealth does not require insurance for mopeds.
No insurance, just registered, right?
I'm sorry? It does have to be registered, yes,
Yes,
but does
all
not
right.
require insurance. Regarding Pleasant Street, the traffic unit conducted a speed radar survey down there, and to assess the number of violations in a low risk, medium risk, and high risk category. Low risk would be those violations that are less than 10 miles over the speed limit. Medium risk would be 10 or more, and high risk would be 20 miles or more over the speed limit. After reviewing the findings of those surveys, and they conducted it in both directions, from Tremont Street towards South Common Street and from South Common Street towards Tremont Street, to get a feel for traffic in both directions over a week period each time. Although the initial report you have was only a couple days, but we did do a subsequent full week there. And in addition to that, the traffic unit spent time down there in an unmarked vehicle just monitoring the area to try to assess the problem, and in marked vehicles doing enforcement. During the monitoring and observation time that they spent down there and recording of speeding, they also did not identify a significant issue with medium or high-risk speeding there. What they did see is that they felt that there was a real problem with distracted driving and visibility. They noted that a number of vehicles are parking right up close to crosswalks, which is making it difficult for elders or those who are required to use a wheelchair or similar mobile equipment. When they enter a crosswalk or are about to enter, they're not easily seen, especially when the vehicles are right up close to the crosswalk. So we think that is a bigger part of the problem than just speed, and we have some recommendations on that. I've already talked to Bob Stillian about a proposal for changing the parking ordinance to require a 5-foot space on either side of the crosswalk that would allow for roughly 18 feet of visibility, 5 on either side of the 8-foot crosswalk, which make it much more easy for motorists to be able to see people as they enter the crosswalk. In addition to that, I've talked to Andy Hall, and I know he's got some information on some physical environmental changes regarding warning signals and changes to the crosswalk. And I don't know if you want to hear from him at this point. Or the last part I would add is that we're going to do some special parking crosswalk enforcement operations where we'll have a team of officers out there, and as a decoy officer enters the crosswalk, we'll see if motorists stop, and if they don't stop, we'll pull them over and do enforcement. All of that is intended to create awareness and to change the driving behaviors that are leading to these concerns of the people that live in that area.
Thank you, Chief. Andy Hall, love to hear from you.
Hi, folks. For the record, I'm Andrew Hall, Commissioner of the Public Works. And per the order of the last public safety meeting, we had a consultant look at what it would take to bring these two crosswalks up to compliance with ADA and make them more safe, basically. And they put a proposal together. It's a preliminary design, so that, there's a survey hasn't been done, the actual engineering hasn't been done, but we've come up with a plan. It's fairly costly, I will say. $220,000 worth of work down there. Part of the problem is the crosswalks down there now aren't ADA compliant. So as we go modifying things, that's part of our responsibility becomes bringing them up to compliance, which I have no problem with, but it's a costly endeavor.
Do we have the money to do it?
I don't have the money to do it, but I will do it given the money.
Right.
How's that?
Okay. Councilor Walsh.
I just have a suggestion. I don't know if Jim Lamont, I don't know if you know the answer to this or not. There's some marijuana money that's been in a fund that, from my understanding, primarily came from dispensary on the Linway, which is in that general area. Did it be appropriate for us to make a motion to authorize the use of that money to improve the intersections in that area?
You can, it's absolutely appropriate to recommend that the mayor and the CFO release funds from the cannabis receipts for this. And this is, I've spoken with Mike Bertino, our CFO, parks and playgrounds and streets improvements we feel are designed to deal with the negative effects of cannabis, and it would be a proper expenditure. But ultimately the mayor is that the appropriating authority under state law.
Should we make that motion
Can I-
to appropriate?
Can I add
Yep,
to-
yeah, good, yeah.
Can I add to that? Can I add to that, Mr. Chairperson?
His motion.
Yeah, to make,
Well, I was going to add a point of information because I spoke with Mr. Bertino at the conclusion of last public safety meeting. There's also some funding around this revolving Uber Lyft account. I don't know if Mr. Lamana can speak to this, but he said there is money that we get from the Uber Lyft, any ride share, that originates out of Lynn, and that is sitting in an account because it's built up over time. So I would just like to appropriate whatever dollars are in there with the cannabis dollars to maybe see if we can put that into close to what we can do for.
Jay, you want to put that in the
I'll
form of a
amend,
motion?
I'll amend the motion to include the money from the Uber Lyft drivers outside the city, plus a portion of the marijuana proceeds money that's in a fund. Is it a suggestion, or how do we word that, Jim? A recommendation to the mayor to
mayor and
fund
the
that proposal under what, Andy, how much was it, you said?
20.
You know, 220 is the number he came up with, but this is a, you know,
So $220,000, and just, you know, we'll send it to them and see what they say, make that a motion.
Second.
Motion made, seconded. Any more discussion? Roll call.
Counsel Barton?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Field?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel LaPierre?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Chakutis? Yes. Yes, Counsel Walsh?
Yes.
Yes.
that's great news, thank you.
Thank you. Bob, would you like to add anything? You're all set. You want to come to the microphone, please?
The Traffic Commission will probably look at the crosswalks throughout the city, because we have a lot of other locations, elderly, this, that, and we'll take it probably a case-by-case study versus making a rule for all crosswalks, and that way we could look at them. Some might be 5 feet, some might be 8, some might be 10. So, we had a planning board meeting tonight, that's why I was late. We put a new road in tonight, so the city now has Diana Way.
Wow, nice.
I think that's at the Solomini Sister, though.
Okay. Anything else? Any other discussion?
I had just one more piece
Counselor
of business
LaPierre.
for Commissioner Hall, if you don't mind. Andy, I know it's just simply a initial proposal, but did it include these, I've been talking about other communities put the know your speed or markings or signage. What, I know the crosswalk compliance, but anything beyond that?
It's got what's called a rapid rectangular flashing beacon, which examples of those in Lynn currently are down by Sterling and O'Callahan Way near the Breed School Complex. There's one down there. They're putting one in on Washington Street. It's not up yet, but Washington Street down by Sagamore. There's going to be one down there. There'll be one installed on Linfield Street up by Great Woods Road. But installed currently, if you want to see one of these things, Sterling at O'Callahan.
And signage to reflect, do not park close, like the chief said, closer to the clock.
Yeah, this is, you know, that's a lot of money, obviously. And that,
Additional to the 220 we just appropriated, or?
no, this design is, this is a Cadillac of a design.
Okay.
That's
I'm
a
just
big
saying
number.
no parking to corner, because a lot of people are parking close to the crosswalk. Can we get signage up there to reflect no parking here to corner?
It will have signs, it has bump outs, in fact, which physically prevent cars, so you don't step off the curb into the street until your car's width away from the sidewalk. Does that make sense?
Okay. So bells and whistles, all that is in that, included in
This is the current safe design, yes.
Premium.
Complete street.
Good. Thank you. Thank you, Mr.
Am I
Chairperson.
dismissed?
Counselor Fields.
Just before we conclude the public safety meeting, I just want to say thank you to Chief Reddy and the command officers and everyone for their diligence and hard work over the past couple of weeks, getting us this information so that, you know, these are immediate needs in the city for our seniors. And public safety is an important role, you know, and I knew they do a great job. And to get us all this information, Commissioner Hall and everyone, within that time frame, and it's commendable, and I just want to say thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
I share your sentiments.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Motion adjourned?
Motion to
Second.
adjourn, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, utilities.
Counsel Walsh?
Present.
Present. Counsel Lozey? Absent. Counsel Chakutis?
Present.
Present. Okay, we have two tabled petitions from National Grid. Do you want me to read
Yeah, why
them?
don't you read them? Yep.
Okay. We have the petition of National Grid from a granted location to install conduits in front of 77 Broad Street. And we have a petition of National Grid for a grant of location at the intersection of Sagamore and Washington, continuing 25 feet to install conduits from the existing manhole on Washington Street to a streetlight cabinet handhole for the City of Lynn new streetlight installation.
So I heard from the proponent, John Jankowski from National Grid, and he's not going to be able to attend this hearing. He'd like to be here. So with the storm happening, he's on storm duty. So I think we'd be appropriate to make a motion to table.
Motion to table.
All right, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Tabled. All right, that was utilities. Get a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you. It's all right. All right, licensing committee.
Counsel Field, absent. Counsel Hogan,
Present.
present. Counsel Lozey, absent. Counsel Net, present. Present. Counsel Walsh,
Present.
present. Okay, we have,
Oh, we have Council Barton.
where is he? Oh, Counsel Barton,
Present.
thank you. Okay, we have one new taxi operator, Kevin Fernandez, 16 Tilton Place.
Hey, Kevin,
Kevin?
can you come up to the podium for 1 second, please? What is the wish of the committee?
Motion to approve.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thursday morning, you can go to the clerk's office downstairs and get your license, okay? Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for coming.
Yes, sir.
Everything else we have is renew.
We have a motion to take the rest of them as a whole, they're renewals.
So move.
So move. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. All right. Yep. Come down Thursday morning, they'll grab you the certificate and you can work on after Thursday, right? Yep,
Yep.
yep, thank you. All right, so we took them as a whole for the renewals, they've been approved. We have a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. Licensing.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Ways and Means Committee meeting. Madam Clerk, could you please roll call?
Counsel Net?
Present.
Present. Counsel Staben?
Present.
Present. Counsel Barton?
Present.
Present. Counsel Chakutis? Present. Present. Counsel Seer? Absent.
Madam Clerk, could you please read the transfers?
We have two transfers that laid over from the October 12th meeting. $73 for the police department expense to police department prior year bills to fund an invoice received after the cleanup warrant was done.
So what's the wish of
Motion
committee?
to approve.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Counsel Net?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Staben?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Barton?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Chakutis?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Seer? Absent.
Next.
$647 from the care of dog expense to the care of dog's prior year bills to fund an invoice received after the cleanup warrant was done.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Counsel Net?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Staben?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Barton? Counsel Barton?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Chakutis?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Seer? Absent. We have
Certified,
certified
yeah.
funds, $90,000 to the school department for the FY22 FC 460 Early College TAR grant.
Motion approved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Counsel Net?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Staben?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Barton?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Chakutis?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Seer? Absent. $52,717 to the police department for the JAG program.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Counsel Net?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Staben?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Barton?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Chakutis?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Seer? Absent. $88,188.80 to the police department for the FY22 jail diversion grant program.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Counsel Net?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Staben?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Barton?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Chakutis?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Seer? Absent. $30,000 to the planning department for the preparation or the pre-development of the GAR building.
Motion approved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Counsel Net?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Staben?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Barton?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Chakutis?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Seer? Absent.
Mr. Spencer, is any emergency on these?
No.
No emergency? Okay. Any new business? Okay, Mr. Petito.
Thank you, Mike Bertino, City CFO. Faustina presented a memo to this committee and the council to request an amount of money to hire language services with the ARPA money.
Okay.
So I just wanted to give you a quick, brief introduction of it. The city put out an RFP requesting language services for the top 6 languages that are spoken within the city. One of the big parts that we have to do for spending the ARPA money is we have to do outreach. So to do that outreach, we have to show that we communicated, often and effectively with the population of the city of Lynn. So the memo details everything, but what the city did was we put out an RFP requesting the services. The services will be for people that speak the top 6 languages to be in City Hall a portion of the time and at their location in Lynn a portion of the time. And they will help us to do outreach within the city and to allow constituents of the city who may not speak one of the languages that we do at City Hall, allow them to get all the benefits and to list all the items that we have to offer all of the constituents. This is a very important part of the beginning of the opera money where we have to do the outreach. So we would be looking for a motion to approve the contract that was put out to bid.
But we don't know how much, the amount of money, we don't know yet, right?
The amount of money is $800,000 over the course of 3 years.
Okay.
And that will hire these individuals to be in City Hall and at their local place of establishment to work with the city, doing outreach to help us support any decision we make on spending the ARPA funds. It's really the first part of the whole process that we have to start with.
Is that could be a full-time or part-time again?
They will be 30 hours a week, half the time in City Hall and half the time at their place of business. And what it would be like is if we had an issue and we needed to translate information in Portuguese or Haitian Creole or Spanish or one of the other languages, we would tell them from 10 to 2 on Tuesday and from 1 to 4 on Thursday, there'll be a representative here to help the individuals with all sorts of services, not just relating to opera, but how to obtain a birth certificate, how to pay an excise bill, where to get other services that the city offers or that other businesses in the city offer. So it's kind of a combination of in City Hall and at the local place of business. And we did the RFP process, which is required by the opera funds. And again, this is really the beginning of what we need to start doing, because before we can spend any money in certain areas, we have to show that there's a need for it. In order to do that need, it's very important that we do the outreach.
Exactly. Yeah, Councilor Barton.
I agree, we definitely need it, but why are we being just dropped on our lap and being told about it, and now we gotta vote on it?
I believe that we put a memo out 2 weeks ago outlining everything that I was saying.
The memo to who? The councilors?
Yes.
Do you recall that?
I knew about it because I had a meeting with Faustina, and she explained it to me.
Councilor Starbuck, you have any?
Thank you. So, just to be clear, this is all on contract basis. Subcontractors, no employees, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And will they be required to have some type of liability insurance in the case where they interpret for somebody and they say that something didn't go right, and and try coming back at the city?
That's pretty standard in the contract. It would be an errors and omissions policy. If we get that far, I would certainly, we have to do it. It's like putting up a performance bond, but for services. So I would assume they would need that.
Okay. And this is $800,000?
For over 3 years, yes.
And then it would sunset at that point unless somebody wanted to budget?
That's correct.
Amount of money going forward, correct?
That's correct.
Thank you.
So how many positions again? I'm sorry.
There's 6 different languages, so there'll be, I believe they're looking at 5 people to be spread out, amongst the working hours of City Hall, but I know they're hoping to get 6 languages, and it just happens to be the 6 most predominant languages that are spoken in the city.
Okay. What's the wish of the committee?
I'll make a motion to approve. I just remembered that I did talk to them about that, so
Okay.
I'll make the motion.
Second, okay. Roll call, please. Roll call. Yeah, got a second. Councilor Chakoudas, second.
Okay. Council Net?
Yes.
Yes. Council Staben?
Yes.
Yes. Council Barton?
Yes.
Yes. Council Chakoudas?
Yes.
Yes. Council Seer absent.
Any new businesses or?
Business motion to adjourn.
Okay, motion to adjourn. You got it. Thank you.
they're presenting tonight, or no?
Well, yes, this is.
So DCR's not,
They're not in, for 10% of it, the way it's procedural, you can't just throw the law. Just for the sake of rushing it through tonight.
no rushing it.
Well, it is, because we've only had 2 weeks. You've had 8 years. Oh, where was it? I couldn't find it. Oh, maybe he's. Roll call.
Counsel Barton?
Present.
Present Counsel Chakutis?
Present.
Present Counsel Calucci?
Present.
Present Counsel Field?
Present.
Present Counsel Hogan?
Present.
Present Counsel LaPierre?
Present.
Present Counsel Lozey?
Yes, present.
Present Counsel Net?
Present.
Present Counsel Starbird?
Present.
Present Counsel Walsh?
Present.
Present Counsel Seer?
Present. All rise for a moment of silence.
Mr. President, a special prayer for Dave Fee, retired firefighter.
I'd also like to recognize the family of Dick Nadworny.
Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Accept the minutes from the September 28th meeting.
Yes, sir.
Second.
I'm going to ask Councilor Hogan to come up. I'm also going to ask George Marcos if he would come up here, please.
I'd like Joe Althea Damati to come up here, please.
So we're asking both these gentlemen to come up here tonight because of their, not only just their community work they do in the community, always being there, but no matter what the need may be, feeding people on Thanksgiving or at a fire or just always helping out. The past 2 years, we all know that the city was faced with such a challenge with the pandemic. And when myself and Councilor Hogan reached out to the business community, these two gentlemen just stepped right up. We had 3 shifts of people that were working every day at the Salvation Army. Also, we had people working throughout the city. And because of their efforts, they kept us fed through the entire thing, whether it was lunchtime or dinner time. And I'm not just saying, you know, a couple slices of pizza or a sandwich, but I mean, the food was unbelievable. So I'm going to let Fred, he's going to give an award in a second, but I'm going to give one to George first because I know that he has to be leaving, but I just want him to know that for everything that you do, George, it doesn't go unnoticed. And I know you don't do it looking for a pat on the back at all, ever. You do it because you care about the community, and you're always willing to help out. So on behalf of the citizens, city council, I say thank you. Thank you.
Speech. Now, at this time, I do want to talk a little about Alfredo's Italian Kitchen. This is a Ward 6 business, but this guy he's all Lynn. I'm telling you, he's all about Lynn. He's all about helping people out. And there's been fires in my ward and throughout the city. He's called me or texted me and said, Fred, do you need anything? I was like, before I could call him and ask him, he's delivering 10 pizzas himself to the fire for the residents that got burnt out and for the firefighters and the police that are on scene. And it's been like this forever. Sports team, the other day, I wrote a check for a sports team to do a pizza party. They were a little short. He threw in the extra money. It's just been constantly this guy has stepped up and done this. And Alfredo's Italian Kitchen, Joe, Thea, and your family, we are honored to have you in Lynn, and we are so happy for what you guys do for the Lynn community. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Hogan and everyone. We are very humbled by your kind words and by this recognition. We consider ourselves incredibly lucky and privileged to be part of such an amazing community. You guys have shown us so much support during the past 8 years, and in particular, the past year in the height of a pandemic, when restaurants were closing left and right, we were one of the few that managed to stay open, and that was all thanks to you and your continued love and support. So we are forever indebted to you. We are very grateful for all of the support. We hope you know that our commitment to the city is unwavering and that we are always there to help out in any capacity that we can. So thank you and God bless.
Thank you to everybody from Lynn. We're going to stick together. We're going to be together. We're going to make it together.
Oh, you can go up there. Hey, you can go up there. Go ahead, you go up there, take a picture. Yeah. Go ahead, absolutely. Hold it, one more picture.
Hold on, wait, wait.
Hold up. Go ahead, you can go up on the stage.
So what I just want to say real quickly is that these are two absolutely amazing heroes for Lynn. And I had breakfast at Brothers on Sunday morning. I had pizza at Alfredo's Sunday night. So I'm saying they got great food at both places.
Thank you.
I thought he just asked you. Oh, that's nice. Oh, isn't that nice?
First public hearing.
We have an act authorizing the City of Lynn to grant a conservation restriction to parklands, forest lands, and watershed lands to the Department of Conservation and Recreation and the Essex County Greenbelt Association, Inc., protecting Lynn Woods.
Anyone wishing to speak in favor? Mr. Mayor?
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the council. I'm happy to be here tonight with you to support an act authorizing the City of Lynn to grant a conservation restriction to parklands, which we know as Lynn Woods. That is, I know we all share together, one of the greatest resources for our community, but just as importantly is an amazing resource for this region, and is probably the second largest city-owned parkland in the country. And there's an opportunity here for us to, for our generations and future generations, to preserve what is something that's special in all of our hearts and is so important to our community. So I'm just here to stand to support this effort. There's been a lot of hard work that's gone into this over a long period of time. I want to thank the Law Department, and in particular Jim Lamanna, who's worked on this for a number of years and has all of this, many details, which I'm sure he shared with all of you. But I think more importantly, it's an opportunity for you, for this council, to stand up for this community, to preserve and protect something that we all care deeply about and this community cares deeply about, and that our children and our grandchildren will be able to really enjoy what is probably one of the best city-owned parcels in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. It's an amazing location. It's an amazing place. It's a resource that we always talk about, and it's an opportunity here for all of you to stand up and make sure that that is preserved for our community for years to come. So just wanted to stand in front of you, say I'm strongly supportive of this. Again, the hard work that's gone on to make us to allow us to get to this point, to get through all of the challenges that this has faced. Today's the opportunity to make it happen. Thanks for all your hard work, and look forward to hopefully seeing this approved by you, and the city will be able to really look back and know that this is a really great accomplishment for all of us to be able to be a part of. So thank you very much, Mr. President, for allowing me to speak tonight, and thank you to all the councilors as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor?
Good evening, everybody. Hi, my name is Mara Shera. I live, do you need my address? 99 Range Heights in Lynn. My name, I just gave you, but I'm Vice President of Friends of Lynn Woods. And 8 years ago, we joined with the Department of Conservation and Restriction and Recreation, in Essex County Greenbelt, in effort to update and strengthen, oh, this would help, the antiquated documents that had been protecting Lynn Woods. The goal was to change ownership, not to change ownership or management of the park, but simply to update the conservation measures already being supplied by the Park Act of 1890 and the Indenture of Trust. Nobody expected this process that would take 8 years. I certainly didn't. But here we are, 8 years later, and we have documents before us that we feel protect our park for the future generations, while meeting the goal of keeping things just as they are. The bulk of 8 years was consumed by a very extensive and complicated title search that highlighted the haphazard and often incomplete process by which the city acquired the parcels, in ineffective manner in which many of the purchases and donations were recorded. It revealed just how vulnerable some parts of the park are and demonstrated the critical need to update the protections with a conservation restriction. Attorneys working with the Friends of Lynn Woods have reviewed this document and feel without reservation that it will protect, pun intended, I guess, that it will protect our park and watershed with impending management in any way, without any impeding, management in any way. The version before you, that you guys all have tonight, that you'll be voting on, has already been deemed as acceptable to the DCR and the Greenbelt. We ask that you approve the conservation restriction as currently drafted. 8 years has been long enough to get it right, so we're asking that there be no more delays, that you move forward in this process tonight for the future generations of the City of Lynn and to protect our water supply. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor?
Hello, my name is Henrietta Perkins. I'm the secretary of the Friends of Lynn Woods, and I'm strongly in favor of protecting this jewel in the crown of Lynn. I'm here this evening to read a letter from one of my fellow board members who was not able to be with us this evening. This is a statement from Stephen Babbitt of 31 Manson Street. I speak in favor of the Lynn Woods conservation restriction. As many of you know, I have been involved in the protection of Lynn Woods since 1989, first as a founding member of the Friends of Lynn Woods, and for the past 28 years as a member of the Board of Park Commissioners. I've been pushing for conservation restrictions since Pat McManus was mayor in 2000. During these 32 years, I've witnessed numerous attempts by various people and organizations trying to manipulate the boundaries of Lynn Woods. The threats have been lurking for years. Everyone speaks of Lynn Woods as one of Lynn's greatest assets. It's time to provide the protection that Lynn Woods deserves, a conservation restriction. I commend the many people and organizations that have spent years setting the groundwork for this conservation restriction, sometimes with meaningful investment of money and resources. I urge the City Council to vote in favor. I believe it is the will of the people. Thank you, Stephen J. Babbitt.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? Seeing none, that part of the hearing is closed. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition? Anyone wishing to speak in opposition? Anyone wishing to speak in opposition? Seeing none, that part of the hearing is closed. What is the wish of the council?
Motion to
Councilor
approve.
Walsh.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Hold on. Councilor Walsh, are you making a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made, seconded, discussion.
Just a point of
Councilor Lozey.
clarification. Are we approving the red letters that we have before us? Is this,
This portion of the council meeting is Article 97 language that would be sent to the State House for the legislature and the governor to sign. It's the first step of three-step process on the city side in order to put a conservation restriction in. The issue about the red lines that you have before you, that's not on this public hearing here. All three need to happen. If one doesn't happen, then the other two really are nullities. But this would go up to the State House, and the legislature and the governor would consider it. It's something similar we did with the water sewer separation pump over at McManus Field. We had to replace parkland that we were losing. Here we're identifying this parkland, and we're asking for permission for a conservation restriction, which will be the third item I believe you'll take up tonight.
very good. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Jim.
Councilor Staben.
Thank you, Mr. President. Attorney Lamanna. So this vote will be on the land taking?
That would be vote number two that I would envision, of course, due respect to the council president. This is Article 97 language that would go to the State House. It's a home rule petition for permission to designate this land as parkland. And it would include the land taking, which would be the second vote of approximately 97 plus acres of unidentified land. So all three are necessary to get to conservation restriction and put this in a permanent lockbox from development.
Okay, and if we vote on the Article 97, do we have to wait for a response before we can move forward on the others?
No, they could be taken up at any time in any order. Okay. But all three are necessary. If one doesn't pass, then the other two really moot.
Okay, thank you, Attorney Lamanna.
Any other discussion? Roll call.
Council Barton?
Yes.
Yes, Council Chakutis?
Yes.
Yes, Council Calucci?
Yes.
Yes, Council Field?
Yes.
Yes, Council Hogan?
Yes.
Yes, Council LaPierre?
Yes.
Yes, Council Lozey?
Yes.
Yes, Council Net?
Yes.
Yes, Council Staben?
Yes.
Yes, Council Walsh?
Yes.
Yes, Council Seer?
Yes. Next public hearing.
We have a discussion regarding the conservation restriction in eminent domain.
These two items number 2 and number 3, are not public hearings. They're not required to be a public hearing. They can be brought up in any order. I would recommend the eminent domain, which is pretty straightforward. We were unable to identify 97 acres of land, who the owner was, after probably 4 years of diligent title search on the part of the state and the city solicitor's office. So this would just put this under City of Lynn ownership. We do not believe there's any danger of damages being awarded because despite our best efforts looking at the Registry of Deeds and DPW, there's been no ability to identify these owners of these 97 plus acres.
Councilor Walsh.
Thank you, Mr. President. Make a motion to approve the confirmatory order of taking of approximately 98.7 acres of land with unconfirmed title. Said taking shall execute any lands owned or required by the Lynn Water and Sewer Commission and existing easements. It's a motion.
Second.
Motion made, seconded, discussion. Roll call.
Counsel Barton?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Chakutis?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Calucci?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Field?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Hogan?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel LaPierre?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Lozey?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Net?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Staben?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Walsh?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Seer?
Yes. Next discussion. Counsel Walsh.
Thank you, Mr. President. Make a motion to authorize His Honor the Mayor to execute a conservatory restriction circulated September 1st, 2021, and approved by the City of Lynn Law Department, Massachusetts Department of Conservation and Recreation, and Essex County Greenbelt Association.
Second.
Motion made, seconded, discussion.
Mr. President,
Counsel Lozey.
is that including the red letter that we received in our package?
Attorney Lamanna.
The version in your packet was a version that was passed by the Water and Sewer Commission back, I believe, in September. It has been rejected by DCR as not complying with the form that they pass and approve and other conservation restrictions.
And through Chair, so DCR doesn't have a problem with the language, it's more of a procedural, just a very small procedural matter? Is that
Correct, it's more procedural. There's some disputes with Water and Sewer and DCR about notification, what prompts a notification, a dam or repairs being made. There's some language in the water sewer version that prohibits inspections, which DCR could not sign off on. It's a public park. I don't know how you would be able to prevent people from doing an inspection, looking toward the reservoir alike. But most of it is just the language is in sections that they feel does not belong and should be in section 3 of the document.
So DCR feels that some of the language should be in another portion of this document.
After about 2 years of negotiation between the City of Lynn, Water, Sewer, DCR, they believe their version incorporates all the concerns that Lynn Water and Sewer have expressed to date. They believe that the language as proposed before you with the red line is superfluous and is not needed and cannot be approved in that form. But there are some things that would definitely come out, i.e. the inspection part, prohibiting inspection, and what trigger notification. And I would add, it's just an email notification to DCR letting them know that there's going to be some work done on the water supply, which is basically what a conservation restriction is, keeping it in a lockbox and making sure that nothing that wasn't contemplated is done. And no hotels are built up there, no centennial parks are built up there. As you know, in the 70s, there was a desire to put 95
Of
through Lynn
course,
Woods.
but this is water and sewer, that they're just asking, consistent with the power and the authority conferred to the Lynn Water and Sewer by the Lynn Water Sewer Reorganization Act, all rights of the public water supply herein defined, all existing and future collection, treatment, storage, and distribution facilities that are under the control of LWSC that include and blah, da-da-da, et cetera, shall be preserved under this conservation restriction. So, my experience, I've worked for the state for 30 years, and first off, backing up, I'm very much in favor of this restriction. I've been working with this as a representative on the Water and Sewer Commission, these 8 years that we've heard that it's taken Greenbelt and DCR and all parties to come to this conclusion here. And here we are, like 2 weeks ago, we're told at the last minute, there's still not a full agreement on what exemptions water and sewer should have. For example, if a water main from the Glen Edwards pump station on Walden Pond had to be dug up and repaired, without this exemption, how do we know they would have to go through the restriction process to repair a pipe?
My personal opinion, it's in the version approved by the city, it's in the version approved by DCR.
Can you point out a provision in this restriction that would enable them to go ahead and do that without having to go through the... I've worked for the state for 30 years, and I've worked with restrictions, And I know how difficult it can be, which is a good thing, that we have these restrictions on Lynn Woods. However, if we're going to restrict our lifeblood, our water and sewer, from doing their tasks, I think we're throwing out the baby with the bathwater here. I know there's a very anxious rush to approve this, but if we're not certain that we're granting the proper exemptions to Lynn Water and Sewer, I think we should be waiting the 2 weeks or whatever it is for DCR and the Lynn Water and Sewer to come up with an agreement without us just approving and striking all this red letter language that Water and Sewer asked us to insert.
I would say in the version that, under Council Walsh's motion, there's a 3/4 of a page that has the exceptions you're talking about. But I do want to stress the comfort level, to your point.
Well,
none of this happens unless water and sewer.
I'm sorry, Attorney Lamont, what are you referring to, or? What is this? This is a page 5?
It's page 5 of a version of the conservation restriction approved by the Law Department, DCR, Essex County, Greenbelt. It has not been approved as of this date by Water or Sewer. It must be approved by Water or Sewer at some later date in order for this conservation restriction to be
Why
valid.
isn't this in our package?
I cannot speak for that.
So, if it's not in our package, how are we voting on it?
Yeah, I have it.
I don't. I have
The yellow
another
folders.
version.
When councilors came in tonight, it was in the yellow.
Oh, it was in the yellow?
Folder.
So we didn't get it in our package. We got it tonight.
Right, because it was sent at a later date, am I correct?
Water Sewer took a vote
Hold on, Jay.
in September. That version of the vote was sent to the Law Department on last Thursday. Last Thursday evening, DCR had reviewed it and summarily denied and declined to support it. I didn't speak with the attorney for DCR until approximately 2 o'clock on Friday afternoon to know the extent of their concerns. So at that time, the agenda was already prepared and sent out.
And the packages were already sent out.
So-
Do you have a point of information?
I do, yeah. So, I mean, this has gone on for a number of years now, and, you know, if I had to point to the track record with water and sewer at this point, I would say we'd still be waiting for the water separation project in West Lynn. This is a great version. The council here at this moment has an opportunity to do what probably a lot of councilors haven't been able to do. And I just think about that for a second, because there's things that we do here that probably go unnoticed. And if this was to happen tonight and move on to the next spot, I think this is something that goes down on the records here as a big, you know, this is a big moment. You guys are conserving land for your kids, if not your kids, your grandkids. I mean, you can go around the horn all you want with water and sewer. You're going to keep doing this. We're back here 3 more months from now with them. I don't see how we keep going back and forth. You make the motion, we make the approval, and then water and sewer is going to have to approve it or deny it. And if they deny it, that's going to be on them.
Councilor Lozey.
I'm just curious, this version you handed me that I still don't see it in my packet, it's probably in here, but that I received tonight, who drafted this?
This was collaboration between the City of Lynn, DCR, Essex Greenbelt. I know Water and Sewer have exchanged this version back and forth, but those were negotiations that were done directly with DCR and Lynn Water and Sewer. I only can speak on the city part. The Law Department is satisfied that Gannon and the 2 parking lots have adequately been protected. I do want to reiterate for this council that if Water and Sewer does not accept any version, this version, the version with the red lines, this conservation restriction does not occur. So a yes vote tonight or a no vote tonight, it's just at a future date, it'll require the Water and Sewer to sign off and the City Council to sign off, and DCR. So if all 3 do not sign off, this does not happen. On whatever version the council wishes to pursue.
Councilor Walsh.
Okay, I just want to make one point with that. So, Jim, how many representatives on the Water and Sewer Board do we appoint from this council?
Per the home rule petition, there were 3 for the council, 2 with the mayor. I believe that the council appointed Mr. Prudian as a 4th member due to a time delay and a mayoral appointment. So 4 of the 5 currently are council appointments.
Just one more question. How many votes do we need on the Water and Sewer Board for it to pass?
3 of the 5 at Water and Sewer, and 6 of the 11 here tonight, or at any night.
Thank you.
Councilor Staben.
Thank you, Mr. President. Attorney Lamanna, and I've spoken to some folks on the Linwood side and felt that the language proposed by Lynn Water and Sewer was redundant to some of the language that was already in there. So if this is accepted without the red language, and Lynn Water and Sewer needs to do something like Councilor Lozey talked about, repair of a pump station or a dam or whatever, and they need to notify DCR, is it a matter of just giving them a heads up, hey, we're going in to fix this, or do they need to sit and wait for approval?
My understanding is that it's a simple notification. That being said, they have able counsel, and they have engineers that may have concerns. So I don't want to pretend to speak for Lynn Water and Sewer, but much of it is redundant. Some of the language copies what's in the Section 3, but I do not want to pretend that I'm not the lawyer for Lynn Water and Sewer, and I'm not going to speak. I'm not the executive director of Water and Sewer either. Can speak for them.
Okay, thank you.
I believe it says it's an email. They send an email to say that they're going to proceed. It's right in here. It shows it. Just an email.
Any other discussion? Roll call.
Council Barton?
Yes.
Yes. Council Chakutis?
Yes.
Yes. Council Calucci?
Yes.
Yes. Council Field?
Yes.
Yes. Council Hogan?
Yes.
Yes. Council LaPierre?
Yes.
Yes. Council Lozey?
Yes.
Yes. Council Net?
Yes.
Yes. Council Staben?
Yes.
Yes. Council Walsh?
Yes.
Yes. Council Seer?
Yes. Public hearings to be set down.
We have a petition of National Grid to install a conduit to the property at 34 Morris Street. Petition of National Grid to install conduits at the intersection of Lewis and Bassett Street and continuing northeast from the existing vault on Bassett Street. Petition of National Grid to install a wooden pole in front of 83-85 New Park Street to correct a non-standard installation to the house at 87 Park Street. Petition of Paul Barrasso, owner of Fast Glass Service at 53 Ocean Street, to add a second floor with hours of operation Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. by appointment only.
What's the wish of the council? Motion made.
Second.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second, all those in favor? Aye. Committee reports, public safety, Councilor Barton.
Unanimous for the committee, motion to approve.
Motion made, seconded, all those in favor?
Aye.
Utilities, Councilor Walsh.
Thank you, Mr. President. The gentleman from National Grid is on storm watch. He couldn't attend the meeting, so there were the 2 items that were on there have been tabled.
Both of them tabled.
They've been tabled, yep.
Motion made to accept the minutes of the utilities.
Second.
Seconded, all those in favor?
Aye.
Licensing, Councilor Field.
Thank you, Mr. President. I was absent for the meeting. Councilor Walsh filled in my absence.
I think you said motion.
I said I was absent for the licensing meeting. Councilor Walsh filled in
okay.
for my absence. Thank you.
Thanks again.
Councilor Walsh.
Thank you. It was a unanimous vote of the committee. Motion to approve.
Motion made, seconded, all those in favor? Ways and Means, Councilor Net.
Thank you, Mr. President. There's 2 items. One financial transfer and other one presentation from CFO and DEI officers relating to addressing about the languages access to land. So they proposed for 6 languages, top 6 languages being translated, and both were approved by the committee, and I make a motion to accept.
Motion to accept, seconded. Would the clerk read the transfers, please?
We have transfers laid over from October 12th meeting, $73 from the police department expense to police department prior year bills to fund an invoice received after the cleanup warrant was done. $647 from the care of dogs expense to the care of dogs prior year bills to fund an invoice received after the cleanup warrant was done. The following certified funds: $90,000 to the school department for the FY22 FC 460 early college TAR grant. $52,717 to the police department for the JAG program. $88,188.80 to the police department for the FY22 jail diversion grant program. $30,000 to the Planning Department for the preparation or the pre-development of the GAR building. That's it.
Wish of the council.
Motion approved.
Motion made, seconded. Discussion. Roll call.
Counsel Barton?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Chakutis?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Calucci?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Field?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Hogan?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel LaPierre?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Lozey?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Net?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Staben?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Walsh?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Seer?
Yes. Old business.
We have tabled from October 12th, petition of Crunt Fitness for a sign permit at 43 State Street.
Councilor Jacutis.
Motion to take off the table?
Second.
Motion made to take off the table, seconded. All those in, roll call. I'm sorry.
Counsel Barton?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Chakutis?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Calucci?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Field?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Hogan?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel LaPierre?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Lozey?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Net?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Staben?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Walsh?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Seer?
Yes.
And-
Councilor Jacutis.
And going over the plans with the gentleman for Crunch Fitness, I want a motion to approve for the sign to go up.
Second.
Motion made, seconded, discussion. Roll call.
Counsel Barton?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Chakutis?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Calucci?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Field?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Hogan?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel LaPierre?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Lozey?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Net?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Staben?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Walsh?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Seer?
Yes. So the next business,
We have a 6-month review of petition granted to El Pacas Restaurant at 207 Lewis Street on April 13, 2021, for a beer and wine license as a common vic with closing hours at 11 p.m.
so if the council doesn't mind, I speak from the podium. So I would like to remove the 6-month restriction that they have to come back and allow them to continue their business. I haven't had any complaints or any problems there. They run a pretty good business there. So I make a motion to remove the restriction.
Second.
Motion made, seconded, discussion, roll call.
Counsel Barton?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Chakutis?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Calucci?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Field?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Hogan?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel LaPierre?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Lozey?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Net?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Staben?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Walsh?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Seer?
Yes. Next,
We have another 6-month review of a petition granted to Vicky's Restaurant, 135 Essex Street on April 13, 2021, for a full liquor license as a common vic with closing hours at 11 p.m.
so if I could, again from the podium, thank you. So I'd like to remove that restriction. Vicky's has worked with me. I know they'll work with me till the end of my term as ward counselor. I know they'll work with the new ward counselor as well. If there are any issues at that location, they run a really unbelievable business, and they try to accommodate all the neighbors in the area, even on a Saturday night when there's noise. They really try to work with everyone, so I'd like to remove that restriction and allow them to run their business according to the law, and that's my motion.
Second.
Motion made, seconded, discussion, roll call.
Counsel Barton?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Chakutis?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Calucci?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Field?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Hogan?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel LaPierre?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Lozey?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Net?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Staben?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Walsh?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Seer?
Yes, new business.
We have a new business, an order that His Honor the Mayor is hereby authorized to enter into a 1-year extension of an existing inter-municipal agreement with the town of Swampscott to consolidate the Swampscott Veterans Office with the City of Lynn Veterans Office.
It's the wish of the council.
Motion to approve.
Motion made,
Second.
discussion, roll call.
Councilor Barton?
Yes.
Yes. Council Chakutis?
Yes.
Yes. Council Calucci?
Yes.
Yes. Council Field?
Yes.
Yes. Council Hogan?
Yes.
Yes. Council LaPierre?
Yes.
Council Lozey?
Yes.
Yes. Council Net?
Yes.
Yes. Council Staben?
Yes.
Yes. Council Walsh?
Yes.
Yes. Council Seer?
Yes.
Yes.
Discussion regarding ward maps for 2021. Attorney Lamanna.
Where every 10 years there's a new census, and with that census results in a redistricting. And this plan was put forth to comply with with the statute. Regarding there can't be a deviation, I think, over 0.5% from one precinct to another. I believe every precinct has to have under 3,500 residents. So the Secretary of State's office had put this draft together. I believe that all the councils had an opportunity to look at it. For the most part, there was a street here or there. 1-1 was a reduction in population, so that required 1-1 to move into 1-2, 1-2 to move into 1-3, 1-3 to move into 1-4, primarily because Ward 1 is adjacent to A. Lynn Woods, Peabody, and Linfield, so their opportunity to spread out wasn't as great. There was a very large influx of new persons in 5-4 over the last 10 years, and that probably will continue for the 2030 census. But the City Council has the map before you. 2-1 lost some seats to 1-4. Ward 7 may have lost a street, but for the most part, it is fairly close to the maps that existed from the 2010 census.
Any questions for Attorney Lamanna?
Question.
Councilor LaPierre.
Thank you, Mr. President. Jim, after our action, does this then go to, where does it go from here?
We would report this to the state. The state's also, I believe that they're redistricting state legislative seats as well as a result of the census. But this wouldn't be in effect for next Tuesday, but moving forward in municipal elections. And it only, well, I shouldn't say it, where you vote obviously applies, whether it's a presidential or a governor's race. So this would...
This is just a local decision making on this, on our city tonight. It doesn't go to the State House. It's nothing to do with it.
Nope.
Okay, thank you.
Councilor Staben.
Thank you, Mr. President. Attorney Lamanna, who drew the map with the changes?
Secretary of State's office, election division put together the original draft and last month or so. It wasn't a lot because our initial estimate on the U.S. Census, we gained a considerable number of people. I think we may have gained 10,000 people from the preliminary estimate to the final estimate. Some great work by the city clerk in getting people out with the estimate with the census. But the consequence of going from 90,000 to over 100,000 does mean that new pockets of population. So this was the state's version. There was a committee set internally with the assistant planner, looked into it, but I do not believe that there were any changes advocated by any of the elected officials. There were some proposals made that we got back today about redrawing some precinct lines, and in doing so, it fell out of the requirements that precincts have to be within a certain percentage of every other precinct and the 3,500 person cap for every precinct.
So we don't have the power to make any alterations to...
Oh, no, the council absolutely could make alterations, but if you take a street and give up a street, it does affect, it may or may not be feasible. Like taking a street, 2 streets here, you might have to lose 10 streets to make up for the population that you gained in those 2 streets. So it is a calculation. As I indicated, there was some proposals to change some precinct lines. Early this morning, we got word that that precinct suggestion was going to be able to work, and then about 3 hours later, when they ran the numbers and saw the population shift just by switching 3 streets to one precinct to another, that it would go out of whack. So it is a pretty exact science as far as how this goes.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Councilor Staben.
It has no impact on this year's
election. Not on the election on November 2nd, no.
Any other questions? So we need to take a vote in order to accept it, correct? Councilor LaPierre.
One point of information, will the new residents obviously be notified of their new precinct and or polling place once this goes into effect?
We have the best election commissioner in the state, and she will make sure everyone's notified of any voting changes.
Thank you.
Hand deliver them.
Any other questions? Any other comments? What's the wish? Pardon?
Second.
Motion made, seconded, discussion, roll call.
Council Barton?
Yes.
Yes. Council Chakutis? Yes. Yes. Council Calucci?
Yes.
Yes. Council Field?
Yes.
Yes. Council Hogan?
Yes.
Yes. Council LaPierre?
Yes.
Yes. Council Lozey?
Yes.
Yes. Council Net?
Yes.
Yes. Council Staben?
Yes.
Yes. Council Walsh?
Yes.
Yes. Council Seer?
Yes. It's the wish of the council. going to go to college. Part of it being because we can't afford to send them to college. And most people can't afford a home. I think we can come up with a program so that we can help the families in Lynn, where the average family of 4 makes less than $50,000 a year. We can help them achieve the American dream. And there are households where there are single parents living there that are taking care of 2 or 3 kids. And I believe that we can help them as well if they don't want to live in their own home, but they want to rent. And we can come up with programs. I don't think the housing production plan goes far enough. I don't think it really will address the problems, and I don't think it considered all the issues in the city. It's a topic that we can go on for hours on. So.
Okay, Jared. Thank you, Thank you, Darren.
Thank you. Yes. So I absolutely agree with the question that we need to be addressing the cost of housing, and that's the point of the housing production plan. The mayor, recognizing that this was an issue a couple years ago, working with the Lynn Housing Authority, put together a team of folks to start to come up with a plan to address what's really a pressing issue in the city of Lynn, which is the cost of housing. Rents are skyrocketing. It's so hard to buy a new home, and we need to do something about it. Yes, it's a national problem. Yes, it's a regional problem. It's also a Lynn problem affecting our Lynn residents, and we need to act. And that's what the housing plan calls on us to do. It's got a wide range of recommendations that were developed with input over the last 2 years through half a dozen community meetings, hundreds of comments that have been reached out from a wide range of stakeholders, developers, landlords, tenants, housing advocates, residents, community members, and these recommendations have been vetted. But it's just a plan. It's just a plan. So what's going to happen next is that we are going to work together starting in January to implement this plan, because the residents of Lynn need help with their housing costs. That doesn't mean there aren't other important issues in the city as well. We need new schools. We want to get people pathways into higher paying jobs. But these all issues, they work together to holding people back. Holding people back in a time when there's unparalleled prosperity in parts of the country. There's still a struggle in the city of Lynn that has been going on forever in terms of trying to build these pathways that are open to everybody, to break down those barriers. And housing costs right now is one of the biggest ones, and we can't turn our back on that. We need to work together, and we need to act, and that's what the housing plan calls on us to do, building a team of folks that's ready to act on this. Looking, again, to best practices from other communities so we can see how other cities and towns have tackled this, learn from that, and think about how it will apply in Lynn, not just the way it's always been, but in the future that we're building together. Because we can't just take the status quo as a given. That's why we do this, is to build a better future for all of us. Thank you.
All right, thank you both for that. Thank you both. But just to follow up just a little bit on that, I think one of the questions that I've been getting from people and talking about this for clarity, it seems to me that Darren has some reservations about the housing plan.
Lots of them.
Jared think it can work, so he's in favor. So they're on opposing sides of this particular thing. As we walk around the city of Lynn, we see a lot of new development, but we have no idea, I'm just speaking generically, all right, as a citizen, if that development is going to be affordable to me. What type of housing is that? Are those condos? Are those apartments? Are they affordable? All these different things. So I'm going to ask both of you this question, and I'll give you an opportunity to